The financial enslavement of the Australian public, a systemic injustice. Australia presents itself as a democratic free society where citizens are empowered to work, earn and build a future. However, beneath this facade lies a system of economic control that borders on financial enslavement. The government, through a combination of taxation policies, superannuation restrictions and bureaucratic constraints, has designed a structure where financial freedom is systematically denied while absolute power is concentrated in the hands of the state. 1. The endless tax cycle, paying more while getting less. Citizens are subjected to one of the most aggressive taxation systems in the world. The average worker is expected to hand over a significant portion of their earnings, often without any real say in how it's used. This isn't just about income tax. It extends to excise duties, GST, levies, and countless hidden fees that take more than just a fair share. The problem isn't just taxation itself, it's the lack of reciprocity. While the government takes more, essential services remain underfunded, inaccessible, or outright privatized, forcing citizens to pay even more out of pocket. The tax structure has ceased to be about contributing to a fair society. It has become an extraction mechanism designed to sustain the state at the expense of the people. 2. Superannuation, forced savings that aren't yours. Superannuation is sold as a retirement safety net, yet the reality is that citizens are forced to pay into a system they cannot access when they need it most. The government controls when and how individuals can use their own money, denying access unless specific, arbitrary conditions are met. This is a direct contradiction of financial freedom. If a person has worked for their money, they should have the right to access it when they see fit. Instead, superannuation is locked away, while financial pressures, including government-imposed taxes, push people into hardship. 3. The punishment for exiting the system. Perhaps the most insidious part of this economic model is how citizens are charged even for trying to leave it. Those who seek to revoke their Australian citizenship face financial penalties, proving that the government sees people not as free individuals, but as economic assets to be milked indefinitely. If democracy means freedom, then why does it cost money to leave? No other private institution, no employer, no club, no contract would get away with forcing people to pay to exit an agreement they never explicitly consented to in the first place. 4. The illusion of choice. Work, pay, or be punished. Australians are led to believe they have choices. Work harder, earn more, and you'll get ahead. Pay into super and you'll have a secure future. Pay your taxes and you'll get services in return. But in reality, these choices are illusions. The system is structured so that working harder often results in higher taxes, negating financial progress. Superannuation is unavailable when it's actually needed. Services funded by taxes are increasingly privatized, requiring citizens to pay again. Worse still, those who step outside this system, choosing self-sufficiency, alternative financial strategies, or even seeking to leave the country, are penalized, blocked, or forced to comply. Number 5. The broader impact. A nation held hostage by its own government. The consequence of this financial enslavement is a population trapped in a cycle of labor and debt, with minimal ability to control their own economic future. This system ensures a weakened middle class, constantly squeezed but never secure. Debt dependency, where financial stress forces people to rely on credit, loans, and perpetual work. Psychological oppression, where the government's financial control becomes a form of coercion, obey the rules or suffer economic consequences. This isn't governance. This is economic imprisonment. 6. Corporate tax advantages. The rigged game. While individual citizens are suffocating under an ever-growing tax burden, large corporations enjoy a vastly different reality. Companies like Santos, along with other multinational giants, benefit from a taxation system designed to favor them over the very citizens who are forced to sustain the economy. Tax minimization strategies. Many large corporations employ complex accounting methods and take advantage of generous tax incentives to significantly reduce their taxable income. Companies can shift profits, leverage deductions, and write off expenses in ways that ordinary people simply cannot. Exploration incentives and subsidies. The Australian tax system offers substantial incentives for resource exploration. allowing companies to offset exploration expenditures against their taxable income, further reducing their tax liabilities. Profit shifting and offshore havens. Multinational corporations often engage in profit shifting, moving revenue through low-tax jurisdictions to minimize domestic tax obligations, effectively erasing billions in taxable income. R7. Individual tax burdens. The cost of being a citizen. Unlike corporations, individuals face high excise taxes on everyday goods. Products like tobacco, fuel, and alcohol are heavily taxed, with excise rates that disproportionately impact lower-income earners. Australia's tobacco taxes are among the highest globally, making up a majority of the retail price of cigarettes. Regressive taxation. Excise taxes are regressive, meaning they take a larger percentage of income from lower-earning individuals than from the wealthy or corporate sector. Limited avenues for tax reduction. Unlike large corporations, individual taxpayers have minimal opportunities to legally reduce their tax burdens. The system offers few deductions or offsets for average citizens, ensuring they bear the brunt of taxation without relief. TAR 8. Socio-economic consequences. The unraveling of society. This economic disparity between corporations and individuals has far-reaching consequences. Public trust erosion. As corporations pay little or no tax while citizens are financially strangled, public trust in the system collapses. People recognize that the government is not governing for them, but for the corporate elite. Revenue allocation inequities. The massive losses from corporate tax avoidance could otherwise be used to fund hospitals, schools, and infrastructure. Instead, the burden falls back on the working class. Rise of illicit markets. Excessive excise tax, usually on cigarettes, have fueled black markets, driving crime and undermining public health efforts. The government's own tax policies have created an underground economy where the most vulnerable suffer while criminals profit. Conclusion: the Australian citizen as a captive asset. The Australian tax landscape presents a fundamental contradiction. While individuals are forced into an ever-tightening noose of financial obligations, large corporations are granted legal loopholes, special exemptions, and outright government support. What exists today is not an economy designed for people, but an economic prison that prioritizes the survival of the state and its corporate partners over the well-being of its citizens. The path forward, a call for financial liberation. To break free from this economic enslavement, Australia must demand corporate accountability. Large corporations must pay their fair share, with tax loopholes eliminated and strict enforcement of financial transparency. Ensure financial autonomy. Citizens must have control over their own money, whether it be through fair tax policies, accessible superannuation, or economic policies that empower individuals rather than oppress them. Challenge the system globally. This is not just an Australian issue, it is a global crisis of economic control. The movement must push for international scrutiny, exposing the hypocrisy of so-called democratic governments that function as economic overlords rather than public servants. This is no longer just a tax issue. This is about reclaiming the fundamental right to economic freedom.